Thank you for joining us on this week's Image Comics Reviews. Every single week, Image provides us with early access to their books so that we can provide you with reviews of those books day and date. The review crew this week is going to be myself. Joining me is Marco.
What's up?
And Phil.
I am back, baby!
Let's go!
Oh, it feels good to be
Welcome.
back in the saddle.
And what a week you chose. Today we are talking about Geiger, number 6, and Spawn 321.
All right. Something I know a lot about and something I don't know anything about.
And something that Pete knows nothing about.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you guys want to support the show before we get into these reviews, leave us a follow, rating, and a review wherever you listen. And then if that happens to be YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video with your friends. All that stuff is free to do, and it helps us out a lot more than it costs you. If you leave comments on these reviews, know that we always respond to those comments on our main show, The Comics Pals, which drops every single Monday. We're talking about the characters you love and all the places you can find them, and the news, and we do some pretty cool interviews as well. This week we talked about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, so if you want our thoughts on that, head on over and listen to that show. And of course, if you want our thoughts about Marvel and DC books and Dark Horse books and whatever else, that's every single Thursday we put those our reviews out for those books. Without any further ado, let's talk about Geiger number 6. This is the Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, and Brad Anderson book that started off really hot and then kind of cooled off. This is the last issue of this arc. So this arc will end here, and then there's going to be like a big 80-page one shot that they're doing. That seems like it's gonna be pretty cool. But what did you guys think about the finale to this first arc of Geiger?
It didn't really feel like a finale in a lot of ways. Like, Geiger separates from the kids, but in a bigger sense, it feels like there's a looming threat coming. That was like how this issue started, kind of foretelling all these major figures of major American wars from the last 400 years or whatever. As for, I don't know, I like the issue a lot, but the way we're describing it as the arc end, I don't know if it delivers as a good finale to an arc. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I very much agree with that. I think it kind of like fizzled out. It had this pace going. It had this whole like story, but I think we didn't spend a lot of time in the city here or like in was it NORAD to like really care about the situation. It feels like each issue we've just kind of been going along the next step, and that's been fine. But I thought this would be a place where we would, settle down for a second. The end of the arc would be, oh, what is going on in NORAD, and how is this going to relate and endanger the kids or to whatever degree. But we just kind of blow past it, and I think that threw me off a bit because I really wanted to settle down a bit more.
What do you mean? I feel like it's been settled down though.
Well, because in the last issue they arrive, right? They find out that the one kid has leukemia, and that's all we really get from that, and that just is enough to enrage Tariq and want him to protect the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping we'd get more of the city and how we get to see the world explored, because Johns has laid down a lot here for us to touch upon, but I don't feel like we've like really stewed in anything in particular. We were just like, oh, these are cool concepts, these are cool ideas, but we don't get to explore them. And so when we just blow past it and go into the next estate, and he's gonna lead the kids there and blow some shit up, it felt like lackluster to me.
I feel like that's the point of the Geiger character, though. It's the way the issue ends to make kind of a point that he's like a Paul Bunyan folk legend type character that's going to drift from town to town or whatever. I don't think we're meant to linger too long on, like, I feel like that's going to be the point. Like, he's probably going to meet other characters in this next arc that are going to, he's got to protect or something. They're going to find some way to like play off him and like make the dynamic interesting so that the pages bounce, because that's like the John specialty, is giving like good dialogue to make the issue feel brisk. And that's something I will say about all 6 of these issues, that at the very least the interactions play well, so that it's at least it's a page turner at the very least. But yeah, I don't think we're meant, I think the whole point of his world building here is to make it kind of just like a pit stop.
I really, really, really enjoyed this issue and the prior one. I think this series ended so strong. Um, the story, I felt like it really came together. I thought this was a very effective like season 1 ending for this comic. It does resolve what the main agenda of the first 6 issues was, which was to protect the children, to make them safe. That was Geiger's want. And he achieved it. It happened. So to me, that's a closed loop as far as a series that's going to continue goes.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are still more things to deal with. I don't think we've seen the last of the city by any means. I'm not even sure we've seen the last of those kids. I just think that part of Geiger's story is over. And he killed the king, which I thought was super cool. I like that was not a threat to him, that Geiger just exploded himself and they all died. I really love that. And then I love how his death creates a vacuum that's now being filled in Vegas. I think that's a pretty cool pivot, because I didn't care for the king after a while. I want something else. So I like where this is going.
Yeah, he's like a Lord Farquaad from the Shrek series, kind of. Like, he's not really a threat.
Exactly.
Loved the fight with Junkyard Joe a lot.
Oh my God, that was cool.
Good.
That was excellent stuff.
I had audible reactions to what was going on. That was that's one of the better fights in comics I've seen in a while.
Yeah, and obviously full credit to Gary Frank for the way he choreographed it and paneled it. It was really, really exciting.
It was exciting. It was evocative. Just looking at some of those pages, the way that he melts Joe's
the helmet.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And the line of dialogue that one of the kids has, his helmet's melting, but he isn't.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Or like when Geiger says something to the effect of like, "Oh, we're basically brothers, right?" Nope.
This was a good page where I'm holding it up, but there's just like a scene where it might be too bright, where he's just flying in Geiger and he's gonna come in and just like crush the machine here.
Yeah,
lots of fun.
Yeah, this is Jeff Johns at his best. Like what he does. Like, this is a page turning, exciting comic that doesn't stop and dwell too much. And it never, at no point I feel like in these 6 issues did it ever get bogged down by too much exposition or dialogue or word balloons or anything. He's structured these 6 issues very effectively, I think.
To that pacing piece, I didn't realize this was an oversized issue until I hit the end.
Oh, I didn't know it was at all. I just read it and I felt,
it feels super brisk.
Yeah, for sure.
Like well paced.
Yeah. This issue introduces an entirely new concept, which is basically that Geiger is one of several characters who make up something called the Unnamed.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear to be a group, just more like, these are characters who are like Paul Bunyan-esque, like those legendary, figures that we have in history that aren't real, but they're like stories. There's Redcoat, who we will be introduced to in a the volume 1 special annual thing that we talked about a little earlier.
Cool.
We'll learn about Redcoat. There's the Northerner. There's the Monster, Junkyard Joe, who appears in this issue and dies. There's American Widow X, the First Ghost, and Geiger.
So, the Monster, is that Hitler?
I don't think so.
Because they show like a Nazi mausoleum or something, and it makes me think it could be Hitler. He is the monster. He is a monster.
I think the idea is that that's when the character existed, like during that period of time.
Yeah. He fought in World War II or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like at the beginning of the issue, is like all these characters were involved in some conflict. Like the Red Coat obviously was in the Revolutionary War and stuff, right? So, I don't know. There's a lot of cool ideas there. Immediately, there's like provocative imagery of like what John Byrne and Mignola were doing in Hellboy with the Nazi stuff, because you can make some real neat Nazi monsters.
Yeah, I'm into that if that's the route they're gonna go. I love this concept. I think this is great, and I wonder if when Jeff Johns first came up with Geiger, like was Geiger one of them already? Like, did he already have that all pieced together? Or I would love to know how that came about. I think this is brilliant. I love that he created a universe, a shared universe out of this one character. When Geiger was first announced, we had no idea this was going to be a thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I don't want this to end. Like, I know we have the giant size coming up or whatever, but I really want to see more.
Yeah. I think to the fact that he ties it into like legendary characters, I like that this is conceptually him creating his own post-Americana legendary like characters, his own sort of myths post this, and it's grounded within the reality that he builds out. So I think that that's going to be super cool to see fleshed out.
Yeah, I agree.
Love the little small moment when Joe's dying, and there's the panel. This is a brilliant paneling, by the way. Like, this was so expertly done. There's him getting stabbed in the chest by Geiger, him on his knees, then him falling down, and these 4 sequential panels. He falls down. You see him on his side. You see just his head with his green eyes, lit up. And then the next panel is a man saying, "Joe, is that really you?" We have no idea who that is. Someone important to Joe, but this is Joe's last thought. This is his dying thought. And the fact that he has thoughts says he's not simply a robot. He has memories. I think that that's so cool, especially with the idea that we might get to see this character more through flashbacks or his own series or whatever. And then the next panel is his eyes have gone out and he has died.
Yeah.
So good.
I'm assuming that's his creator. In the few, like a page or two before, they mention, are the stories about his creator true? And for him to have that as his last thought, I think is it makes sense, pretty poetic. So I think I like that moment. It was a really good moment. Good shout, John.
That's just really effective storytelling. A single panel. It's all it took to get all the backstory on this character to make you feel something for him.
Mm-hmm. And say whatever you will about Jeff Johns, my man can tell stories, and I just thought this was a phenomenal issue. I care so much more about Geiger. I care so much more about this world. Whatever doubts I had and concerns I had around issue 3 and 4, they've evaporated, and I'm on board.
Nice verb choice.
Yeah. Definitely my book of the week. Let's talk about Spawn.
Okay.
Spawn 321. Todd McFarlane doing the scripting, unfortunately, with Carlo Barbary doing the art for the main story, and then Thomas Nachlik doing the art for the medieval Spawn story. Tom Orzechowski did the letters, and J. David Ramos did the main story colors, and Andrew Dahlhaus did the medieval Spawn colors. So I have been on record as really enjoying the Spawn books lately, especially King Spawn, which we did last week. That was really great. and I have said that the art in these books has been exceptional, and the script is not great, but it doesn't drag the book down to the point of being bad. This is the first issue that I thought actually the script did drag the book down to the point of being bad. I thought that unfortunately Todd's script was just not good this time around.
Yeah,
Sean,
I thought this sucked. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is like an issue that's meant to be kind of expository because we're trying to figure out how we got here, and like it moves at a snail's pace, and it takes detours, and the dialogue is long and clunky, and like a lot of Spawn is what he says is full of expletives that I guess it's meant to like enhance the sentence or whatever, but it feels shoehorned kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That was rough.
I have a question for you guys, and
Okay.
I mean that sincerely. Like, where's Medieval Spawn? You guys know where he is? Because I read 7 pages of that question.
I thought you said you meant it sincerely.
Yeah, where is he? Because I don't 7 pages in, he's asking the same question. I still don't know where he was.
Ask
You know what-
Todd McFarlane.
You want to know what's a good example of bad scripting here is when Spawn asks all the questions out loud that the reader is meant to ask.
Yeah.
And it's like 3 giant word balloons. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
That was a lot. Like that's a stylistic choice. I don't know if it worked. Like you could have either cut down the text or just added, a few more bubbles to space that out. That was a lot
All at once.
all at once. And like every character has at least 1 or 2.
Spawn is not borderline. He's annoying. He's straight up annoying in this issue. He comes across like a baby.
Mhm.
And I just don't. Spawn is like a brooding, monstrous guy, but he's not childish. Like he really just came across as overly emotional and sensitive, and it was very, very odd. And this isn't the first issue of Spawn that I'm reading. I've not felt this way about the character at any other time. This felt like a shift in personality.
And then just like he's like yelling at those 2 other people. And then he's like, I'm going away. And then he goes in a room, and then like we just get these expository word balloons where it's like, Spawn went to review files in the other room. And it's like, yeah, I could see that, I guess.
And even like the idea that it, like the narration says, with that, Spawn spins and walks away. Spawn spins. What? Like, I didn't even want to think that. I want to think Spawn vanishes into a puff of smoke and appears where he's going. I don't want to think about him just turning and walking away like your boss does after they've chewed you out for a mistake you made at work.
Yeah, it makes him look like a mid-level manager.
Yeah, that was terrible.
One thing I will say, Sean, tell me if you disagree, but I think Mark vaguely looks like Marco.
I disagree. I don't have that anime hair.
I think you think that because Mark and Marco are Spanish.
Is Mark Spanish? I actually didn't know that.
I have no idea, but he could be.
Okay. What's the glasses? He's got a little goatee. He's got big hair. Marco's got big hair.
But he's got anime hair.
Yeah, but that's stylish, it's stylized.
I like anime.
And Marco likes anime.
And both your names start with M.
That's the
NRNC.
Oh yeah.
That's the premise that we're going with.
Mark is Marco.
That's crazy, guys. How did I get in this book?
You got chewed out, buddy.
Got shit on.
You got shit on big time.
By Spawn.
It's okay. You got a nice medieval Spawn helmet.
That's true. And you know what? I wear it well.
Yeah, for me, other than Carlo Barbari's art, there wasn't much to enjoy here, unfortunately. I just couldn't really vibe with this issue. Even the part with that like weird guy that had bugs crawling on him.
Man, that felt like such a detour for no real reason.
He just wants files. He's like, I want your files, Paul. Where'd you hide them?
They're
My
in
files.
Pittsburgh.
Where's medieval Spawn?
Like, I don't even like the idea that Spawn goes to Pittsburgh. Like, Spawn should never appear in Pittsburgh. Like that one panel where the page rather where Spawn is like, doing the brood perch on the roof of a building in a regular town in middle America. Like, what the hell? Never should I see Spawn that way.
That sounds like a newspaper comic strip where it's like Spawn goes to Pittsburgh. He's like, fuck these pierogies. Spawn spun and walked away.
Oh my God.
Off.
He stormed off because he didn't like pierogies.
Like, Spawn's going to Pittsburgh for files. Don't you have people for that? Don't you have other means of like acquiring information? He could literally control people's minds, right? Like, that's what he suggests here.
Yeah.
Why do you need the files? Just ask the motherfucker what's in them. Like, make him tell you. I don't know. This is odd.
Yeah.
I
gotta go to the Steel City. There are some files there for me.
I'm needed in Milwaukee.
I have a meeting with Giannis.
Maybe I'll catch a Bucks game.
Get some cheese.
I gotta go to Wisconsin. Oh my God.
Detroit's calling my name.
I'm needed in Phoenix. There are some files in Phoenix.
What if that's the arc? He's just got to go to a bunch of smaller cities to get like files.
Oh my God, that's funny. I love it. No villains, no Violator, no Malbolgia, just files.
Just files. And he just stops and does what's like the city is known for. Motown music in Detroit. Awesome. Gonna buy a car here.
Oh man. I also need to point out how like ham-fisted and just frankly overdone this whole like subplot with Paul and that woman.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about Paul. Don't know him. I don't know if I don't think he's a character, but if he is, like, fine. But the fact that Spawn sees this whole backstory where this guy's not only a pedophile or whatever, but he's a rapist. He's an abuser. This dude is everything possibly bad.
Yeah.
And they just get like, it's just too much detail, too much. I feel like you could have sold us on what he is or what he's done to her in a more subtle way. And even if it's not going to be subtle, then it needs to be done with grace. And I think this was just ham-fisted and kind of like just too much. It didn't work for me.
Yeah. You know, in my head, when you say that, like, I think of Geiger, where we get one panel that gives you the backstory on Junkyard Joe. And just imagine in contrast if it was just a single panel where you see like a girl in the basement. That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, it absolutely did. That was it for me. I was like, oh fuck, okay.
Yeah.
And then you spun out into this whole history about her, and I don't know if it was relevant, but I didn't. You can do that just having said at the bottom in the dark corner huddles an unimaginable harbor. Done. That's it. I know exactly what's going on.
Yep. She's got a fucking baby in her arms. Like, obviously that's Paul's child.
Right.
And
she's tattered.
Yeah, she's tattered. She clearly like stays there because she's not in like formal wear, and she's also not in her underwear. She's in like clothes that she's chilling in. Not that she has an assortment of clothes, but those just don't look like the clothes you would have on if you just got captured the other day.
Yep. Tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, it's perfect. I don't need to see him unzipping his pants and like, okay, please, Todd, relax.
Yeah, it's excessive.
And then the image of Spawn's dead wife with bruises, because I guess it's a part of his backstory that he beat her at some point. Like, what in the hell? What is going on?
I did like Spawn subduing the dogs, though. That was all right.
Yeah, I
that's
did
fine.
enjoy that.
Yeah.
But then the issue just ends.
It does. It just ends.
What happened?
I don't know. And it's just like Mark is medieval Spawn. I'm gonna go be medieval Spawn now. See ya.
Right. It pivots into the medieval Spawn story, which is, first of all, like that I thought that was a different Spawn. I was like, wait, what Spawn is this? Just because they look so different. That looks like someone wearing a Spawn costume at New York Comic Con. That's like
Yeah.
the best Spawn costume at New York Comic Con. Whereas in the actual rest of the issue, that's like a cool Spawn.
Yeah.
And then Mark just being medieval Spawn, like what? Okay.
I thought that the pages, I'm like, oh, that's a weird, because you know how we have like those news articles randomly in a page.
Yeah.
So I thought this was like, oh, this must be like a magazine talking about medieval Spawn or some shit. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll read through these. And then I get to the image, the last page of an image book. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? What did I miss? Like, are we missing pages here? Nope, it just cuts.
Ends.
Yeah, that really
Jarring.
just was jarring. Yeah. I really want to like this book a ton, and I've enjoyed the prior issues, but this was just hard to get through. And you know, normally I might say like, oh well, at least the art's tremendous, and it's pretty good, but it doesn't overcome this story here. This was just a miss, and I can't wait for the rest of the Spawn line to launch, and we can see more stuff like King Spawn that was written by I think it was Sean Lewis. I want more stuff like that.
This kind of felt like a Rob Liefeld story from like the 90s.
I mean, Todd McFarlane's never been known for his writing, so I'm not surprised. It's just unfortunate. Like this was always going to happen. This book was always going to get railroaded by Todd just not being the best writer, and we finally hit that point. So, not great not great
At all.
I would definitely say pass on this book unless you're just really invested in Spawn. You don't even need to read this issue for the story at large, and that's probably the most offensive part. This issue is entirely skippable. There's absolutely nothing that happens here that you need to see.
Yep.
You could read a summary somewhere, or honestly, just listening to us talk about it should be enough.
Yeah, you know everything that happens. Spawn argues with his people, and he finds Paul, who is just an awful human being, and then Spawn freaks out, and the issue ends, and we don't even know what the freak out like really was. But that's it. Let us know your thoughts about these two books or anything that you read this week. If there are books that you want us to read for the show, write in with those, and we will happily do so. Follow, leave us a rating, a review wherever you're listening. And for YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Let your friends know that we're doing this and you enjoy it. Remember that we have a main show that drops every single Monday, where we're talking about the characters you love and all the places you find them and the news surrounding them. That's a fun time. And then our reviews for Marvel, DC, etc. books are always on Thursdays. With all that being said, we will see you guys next week. Thanks again to Image, and take care, guys.
See you next week.
Bye.